Hi, I'm Chef Jen, and I'm here with my friend Jared, and today we're making one-pan beef and broccoli. So we've already started by washing our hands. We have a cutting board here. It's nice and secure, which just means it's not going to slide around as we cut our broccoli. So I have here one head of broccoli. We've already washed it and patted it dry so it's ready to work. I'm going to take my knife and just cut off the very bottom part of the stem. We'll set that aside into our bowl, and then we'll take our peeler. We're just going to run it along the edge of the stem, and that's just going to remove the tough outer skin on the broccoli. One thing a lot of people don't know is that you can actually eat the broccoli stem. It has a lot of nice flavor, and you don't have to just throw it away. So just like you're peeling a carrot, you're just going to run your peeler along it, remove that outer skin. We'll take that peel, we'll set it in the compost. We won't be using that today. So we're going to cut that stem off. And just to give us more room, I'm going to set the broccoli florets aside. We're going to take the stem, cut one little piece off, and roll it so it's on its flat edge so it won't slide around. And we're just going to cut it into small pieces. Take your time. It's okay if it takes a little bit longer. Cut it into strips, so each piece we'll cut into strips, and then we'll cut that further after. Just like that. Take a little bit of the pile and just cut it into cubes, small little dice. Push that aside and continue until you've cut all of that broccoli. Just like that. I'm going to slide it over to the side. We'll take our florets. Jared, would you mind putting those little stems in the bowl? And then we're just going to take our broccoli florets, or our head of broccoli, and cut it into smaller pieces, more so that they're bite size. So we're just going to take our time and cut it apart. And then you may find there's a little bit of the stem left on there. You can just cut that down a little bit. Small pieces. Make sure all the pieces are about the same size so they cook at the same time. And just continue until you have all of it done. And we're done. So we'll just scoop that into our bowl as well, and we'll set that aside. And depending on how big your broccoli is, you may need to use 2 small heads or 1 large one. So next we're going to chop our garlic. So we have 3 cloves of garlic. We're just going to start by cutting off the ends. So both ends on each piece. Then we'll use the flat edge of our knife, and we'll just smash the garlic. Just 1 or 2 taps, and that helps to release the skin and makes peeling a lot easier. So just put those skins into the compost. We don't need them. And then chop away. So because we smashed them, that actually helps to make the chopping process a lot faster too. And then just run your knife through the garlic too. And it's a little sticky, so it may stick to your fingers. So by holding my fingers or my hand on the top of the knife, that's just helping to make sure that my fingers are out of the way, they're safe, and it makes chopping a lot easier. Take all of that garlic. And Jared, if you want to add that to our large bowl right there, we can start making the sauce. So now once all that garlic is in there, we're going to add the hot water. So we just have some hot water in our measuring cup. We'll add some soy sauce. A little bit of brown sugar, so if you want to pour that whole in. And some cornstarch, so 2 spoonfuls of cornstarch. That's just going to help thicken our sauce when it cooks. And finally, a little bit of sesame oil. These. If you want to grab that fork, Jared, and just give it a good little stir, make sure everything is all mixed up. So now that we have our sauce ready, we're going to slice our beef. So we'll just take our beef here, and we're going to cut it one at a time. And we want to make sure that we cut against the grain. So you can see the little lines running through the beef. We just want to cut the opposite direction. So they're running this way, so I'm going to cut across. That just means that our beef will be more tender and less tough when we go to eat it. So we're just going to cut it into thin strips, as thin as you can get it. Try and make sure they're all about the same thickness. Making sure that we keep our fingers curled under and away from the knife. So our first one is done. We just want to take that out of our way so we have lots of room to work and continue with the others. So again, we're cutting against the grain or the opposite direction that the grain is running. Last one. So again, we'll put our knife down, we'll scoop that up, put it onto our plate, and we'll cut the last little piece. That we have sliced beef. So we're going to take some time, we're going to wash our hands, wash our knife and cutting board, clean up our workstation, and we'll get to cooking. All right, Jared, can you turn the burner on, please?
Okay.
Perfect. And now we'll add the pan to the burner. And we just want to let that heat up a little bit. We can test with the back of our hand, so keep your hand above the pan, and you can feel the heat. And once it's ready, we'll add some oil. Just a little bit of oil in the pan for cooking the beef. You can move that around if you want. Make sure that beef doesn't stick. Now, Jared, you can start adding a little bit of that beef to the pan. And we want to make sure that we don't overcrowd the pan, so you might want to cook the beef in 2 or 3 batches. That's okay. And I'm just going to grab the tongs. And as that beef cooks, I can start flipping. You'll start to see that it's searing on the outside, or it's starting to turn brown. So just watch out for that oil. Sometimes it likes to splash. You can always turn your pan down a little bit. And I'll start to take some of the first ones out that we had flipped. And we'll continue this process until all of the beef is cooked. So now that all the beef has been added to the pan, we're just going to take a quick little break to wash our hands after handling all of that raw beef.
Okay.
So now we're just going to flip the last few pieces of beef. We'll let those cook for a minute, and then we'll take them out of the pan. So now all of the beef is done cooking, so we're just going to set that aside, and we'll start cooking our broccoli. So I'm going to add the rest of the oil to the pan. And we'll add our broccoli into it. And we can either use the tongs we used earlier or a wooden spoon just to stir that up. And we just want to cook it down a little bit until it softens. And you can see that as you're cooking the broccoli, some of the leftover beef or the sear from the beef is still on the bottom of the pan. That's a lot of flavor. It's not actually burnt. So that's just going to be picked up by the broccoli as it steams and cooks. It's going to release. So you'll see it. The broccoli starts to turn a little bit brown. That's okay. That's a lot of flavor. So our broccoli is looking great. It's softening up. It will still have a little bit of a crunch to it, but that's okay. We want that. It's starting to look a little bit more vibrant in color too. It's a brighter green, so that's how we know we're ready to move on to the next step. So Jared, if you could give our sauce a good stir. And because it's been sitting off to the side for a little bit, the cornstarch may settle to the bottom, so you just want to make sure that's incorporated back into it. Perfect. So if you want to pour that sauce gently into the pan, yeah, it will sizzle. Perfect. And I'm just going to give it a little stir. You can scrape the bottom of the pan with your wooden spoon too, and that's going to help release the rest of that flavor that we talked about earlier. All those little brown spots on the pan. And we're just going to let that cook for a minute or two just to thicken up. You can see it's starting to bubble, it's starting to boil, and as it boils, the cornstarch will work and it'll thicken it up. So you can see right now, it's nice and thick. So I'm just going to reduce my heat a little bit, and we're going to add the beef back into the pan. Gently pour it into the pan. We can set that bowl aside. Give it a good stir, coating everything, the beef and the broccoli and the sauce. So we're just going to let that cook for a little bit. Make sure everything is nice and heated through. So our beef and broccoli is finally finished cooking. We're going to serve it today with some brown rice, so we're just going to put some of that into the bowl. Just like that. Spread it out. And Jared's going to put the beef and broccoli into the bowl. You can see that sauce is really nice and thick and rich looking. It's sticking to the beef really well. I think this is going to be delicious. I think that looks like a good amount. Here we have our one pan beef and broccoli. Good job, Jared.